In the annals of history, few figures have left as indelible a mark as Napoleon Bonaparte. Soldier, statesman, and visionary leader, his rise to power and subsequent reign as Emperor of France would forever alter the course of Europe and the world. Join us on a journey through the life and legacy of one of history's most enigmatic and controversial figures. From his humble beginnings on the island of Corsica to the heights of power in revolutionary France, Napoleon's story is one of ambition, triumph, and tragedy. Through military conquests and strategic brilliance, Napoleon forged an empire that stretched across Europe, reshaping borders and redrawing the map of the continent. But behind the facade of grandeur and glory lay a complex and multifaceted man, driven by ambition, ego, and a relentless desire for greatness. As we delve into the triumphs and defeats of Napoleon's military campaigns, we'll explore the tactics, strategies, and innovations that made him one of history's greatest military commanders. Yet Napoleon's legacy extends far beyond the battlefield. His reforms, laws, and institutions laid the groundwork for modern France and left an indelible imprint on the nations he conquered. Join us as we unravel the mysteries of Napoleon's life and examine the lasting impact of his reign on the world stage. Welcome to our exploration of Napoleon's extraordinary life and legacy. Rise of a revolutionary. Napoleon Bonaparte was born on August 15, 1769, on the Mediterranean island of Corsica, which was then under French rule but retained a distinct identity and culture. From an early age, he displayed exceptional intellect and ambition, traits that would shape his destiny. Growing up in a turbulent period marked by political upheaval and social unrest, young Napoleon was deeply influenced by the ideals of the Enlightenment and the fervor of the French Revolution. His upbringing in Corsica, a land with a history of resistance against foreign domination, instilled in him a sense of patriotism and a desire for self-determination. At the age of 9, Napoleon was sent to mainland France to receive a formal education. Showing promise as a student, he entered the prestigious École Militaire in Paris at the age of 16, where he received training in military strategy, leadership, and administration. It was here that he began to hone the skills that would later propel him to greatness on the battlefield. The French Revolution of 1789 would prove to be a turning point in Napoleon's life. Inspired by the revolutionary fervor sweeping across France, he embraced the ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity, and eagerly joined the ranks of the Jacobins, a radical political faction advocating for sweeping reforms. As the revolution unfolded, Napoleon's political ambitions began to align with his military aspirations, setting the stage for his meteoric rise to power. With the outbreak of war between revolutionary France and its European neighbors, Napoleon's military career began in earnest. Rising swiftly through the ranks, he distinguished himself on the battlefield with his strategic acumen and fearless leadership, earning the admiration of his superiors and the loyalty of his men. Despite his relatively humble background, Napoleon's talent and determination propelled him to positions of authority and influence within the French army, setting him on a trajectory toward greatness. It was during the Italian campaign of 1796-1797 that Napoleon first demonstrated his genius as a military commander. Tasked with confronting the formidable forces of Austria and its Italian allies, he devised bold and innovative tactics that caught his enemies off guard. Through a series of daring maneuvers and decisive victories, Napoleon defeated the Austrian and Italian forces, expanding French territory and solidifying his reputation as a military prodigy. His conquests in Italy not only enhanced his own prestige, but also fueled his ambition for greater glory and power. By the time Napoleon returned to Paris in triumph, he had become a national hero and a symbol of French pride and power. His remarkable achievements in Italy had elevated him to the status of a military legend, and his popularity soared among the French people. As he basked in the adulation of the masses, little did the world know that this ambitious young general would soon rise to even greater heights, forever altering the course of history. The rise to power. As France grappled with the chaos of revolution, Napoleon saw an opportunity to advance his own ambitions. With political factions vying for power and instability plaguing the government, he seized the moment to position himself for prominence. In November 1799, Napoleon orchestrated the coup of 18 Brumaire, a daring political maneuver that saw him rise to power as first consul of France. With the support of the military and key political figures, he dissolved the existing government and established a new regime, effectively consolidating his authority and ushering in a new era of governance. As first consul, Napoleon wasted no time in implementing a series of sweeping reforms aimed at modernizing and centralizing the French state. He introduced the Napoleonic Code, a comprehensive legal system that codified the principles of equality before the law, property rights, and religious tolerance. His reforms also extended to infrastructure, education, and public administration, laying the groundwork for a more efficient and cohesive society. Recognizing the need to secure France's position on the international stage, Napoleon embarked on a series of diplomatic initiatives aimed at forging alliances and expanding French influence. Through a combination of negotiation, coercion, and military force, he sought to establish a continental hegemony that would ensure France's dominance in Europe. Despite his initial focus on diplomatic solutions, Napoleon's ambitions ultimately led him back to the battlefield. In a series of lightning campaigns, he defeated the armies of Austria and Prussia, cementing French control over much of Central Europe and solidifying his reputation as a military genius. In 1804, Napoleon took the momentous step of proclaiming himself Emperor of the French, effectively ending the era of the French Revolution and establishing a new imperial regime. With grandiose ceremonies and elaborate spectacles, he sought to legitimize his rule and project an image of power and authority. By the dawn of the 19th century, Napoleon had risen from humble origins to become the most powerful man in Europe. His meteoric ascent to power had transformed France and reshaped the geopolitical landscape of the continent. But as Napoleon would soon discover, the pinnacle of greatness is often accompanied by the specter of downfall. The reign of Emperor. With the crown of Emperor adorning his head, Napoleon embarked on a reign marked by both grandeur and ambition. His vision for France extended beyond its borders as he sought to create a vast empire that would rival the great empires of antiquity. Napoleon's military campaigns during this period were nothing short of spectacular. Victories at Austerlitz, Jena, and Friedland solidified his reputation as a military genius, earning him the admiration of his troops and the fear of his enemies. Through a combination of conquest, diplomacy, and strategic alliances, Napoleon expanded the borders of the French Empire to unprecedented heights. From the sun-drenched shores of Italy to the icy plains of Russia, his domain stretched across vast swathes of Europe, encompassing millions of subjects under his rule. Napoleon's ambitions were not limited to the battlefield. At home, he implemented a series of ambitious reforms aimed at modernizing and centralizing the French state. The establishment of the Bank of France, the creation of the Legion of Honor, and the introduction of the metric system were just a few of the initiatives that transformed France into a modern, efficient, and highly centralized nation. Despite his many achievements, Napoleon's reign was not without its challenges. His tumultuous personal life, marked by political intrigue, marital discord, and dynastic ambitions, often overshadowed his accomplishments on the battlefield and in the halls of government. The turning point in Napoleon's fortunes came with his ill-fated invasion of Russia in 1812. Despite initial victories, the campaign proved to be a costly and ultimately catastrophic endeavor. Harsh weather, supply shortages, and determined Russian resistance decimated Napoleon's Grande Armée, leading to one of the greatest military disasters in history. In the wake of his defeat in Russia, Napoleon faced a coalition of European powers determined to bring an end to his rule. Despite his resilience and determination, he was ultimately forced to abdicate the throne in 1814, marking the end of his reign as Emperor of the French. Exiled to the remote island of Elba, Napoleon's dreams of empire seemed to have come to an end. But fate had other plans in store for the fallen emperor, as events would soon unfold that would once again thrust him onto the world stage. The 100 Days and Final Defeat. In a daring bid to reclaim his throne, Napoleon escaped from exile on the island of Elba and made a triumphant return to France in March 1815. The news of his arrival ignited a wave of excitement and fervor among his supporters, setting the stage for a dramatic showdown with the forces of the European powers. The period known as the 100 Days saw Napoleon move quickly to consolidate his power and rally support for his cause. With characteristic energy and determination, he mobilized his forces and prepared for a final confrontation with the coalition of European powers determined to defeat him. The Battle of Waterloo, fought on June 18, 1815, proved to be Napoleon's last stand. Despite mounting a valiant effort, his forces were ultimately defeated by the combined armies of the Duke of Wellington and Marshal Blucher. The battle marked the end of Napoleon's rule and sealed his fate as one of history's greatest military commanders. Following his defeat at Waterloo, Napoleon was once again forced to abdicate the throne and surrender himself to the mercy of his enemies. This time, however, there would be no escape. He was exiled to the remote island of St. Helena in the South Atlantic, where he would spend the remainder of his days in captivity. Isolated and disillusioned, Napoleon spent his exile on St. Helena reflecting on his life and legacy. Cut off from the world he had once dominated, he grappled with feelings of bitterness and regret, yet remained defiant to the end. As the years passed, Napoleon's health began to deteriorate, and his once formidable spirit began to wane. On May 5, 1821, he breathed his last breath, leaving behind a legacy that continues to fascinate and inspire to this day. Though his empire may have crumbled and his dreams of glory may have faded, Napoleon's legacy endures as a testament to the indomitable spirit of human ambition, his conquests, his reforms, and his enduring influence on the course of history serve as a reminder of the power of one man to shape the destiny of nations. And so, as we bid farewell to one of history's most iconic figures, let us remember the triumphs and the tragedies of Napoleon Bonaparte, Emperor of the French, whose journey from obscurity to immortality has left an indelible mark on the annals of time.